So we got Rhett Bagnall here with us today. He is from Specialized Benefits. Many of you may have already met Rhett at a poker night or an office event or whatever over the years. I've personally known Rhett for over, I think, coming up 20 years now. But he is our benefits provider with the office for our staff. He's one of our preferred vendors. And actually, I personally use Rhett for all of our families, health, dental, life insurance, everything else. He's consulted and kind of built all that out for us. So we wanted to do a little video to really explain what he can do and why we've partnered with Rhett to that extent. And for most realtors, it's sort of an afterthought until it's a problem. And we want to try to, as part of our whole financial wealth series, we want to help agents prepare themselves so that when life happens, good or bad, they're ready for it. And that's a big part of, I think, what Rhett does. So take it away, Rhett. Tell us about Specialized Benefits and go from there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, John. I guess my career has been about that, 20 years now that I have been in the insurance business, and definitely health and dental programs, benefit programs has been usually that initial conversation that I seem to have with a lot of clients. Work with a ton of self-employed business owners, and over the years, definitely a lot of realtors in that scope. Hence, like you say, how we met almost 20 years ago. So, when it comes to benefit programs, whether it's Blue Cross or Manulife, Green Shields, Sun Life, the list kind of goes on and on in terms of companies that are out there. Much like a mortgage broker, I'm contracted with all of these different carriers. So I have access to the programs. I've got a really good knowledge of what each plan can offer. And in that way, depending upon each individual's needs, we can, they're never perfect sometimes, but generally within reason, can sort of customize or specialize a plan that they're going to get good value out of. And that's kind of the key. Earlier we were talking about how, some people see this as a cost until they absolutely need it. But there are general routine expenses, whether it's dental or optical or massage, chiro, physio, acupuncture. Perhaps there's some medication needs or things like that. But there are a lot of these regular ongoing expenses. And what I try and do is get an idea of what those are. And then from there, is there a plan that you can put $1 into in terms of premiums? And if you can get 70 cents on the dollar back, give or take, most people don't seem to mind paying a little bit for that what if factor.
Right. And I think the key, and I liked your analogy about the mortgage broker comparison. So it's that idea. What I always liked is that, you're the expert there. I don't have to go out and try to figure out this world of insurance. I can talk to you, tell you about our life, and then in our family, and then you say, oh, this is the best fit. I mean, our stuff, you have a couple different layers of providers to do top-up coverage and different things. And so I honestly, half the time I forget what we have. I just trust that you're taking care of it. But do agents have to pay you for this service, or how does that work?
No, good question. No, and in the same context, like a mortgage broker, my remuneration does come from whatever carrier we place the insurance with. So, and the prices are the same. Like if you called up Blue Cross or Manulife or someone like that, you're going to get quoted the same price for the same plan. But again, instead of having to go from RBC to CIBC to Scotia or whatever, and grind away with all of them or try and figure it out on your own, that's where I kind of decipher the hieroglyphics of all the different plans, instead of having to look at 10 different brochures from all of these different carriers. Based upon the needs, I present one or two, maybe 3 different options that, hey, here's kind of your good, better, best kind of thing. And being self-employed with a lot of realtors, so whether they're unincorporated as a solopreneur or they do have, say, their own PC, the nice thing is that health and dental premiums are fully tax deductible. So from a net cost perspective, that dollar in, 70 cents out. Well, when you consider the tax savings, you're pretty much dollar in, dollar out at that point.
Mhm.
Never mind the what if kind of factor. So if that
Yeah,
math doesn't work out, or if there are like big expenses, health spending accounts is another great tool that's available for incorporated people. It is important to note that that through CRA they do recognize any dollars spent under a health spending account are fully tax deductible for the corporation. So if you do have major dental expenses or laser eye surgery or things like that, that your traditional Blue Cross kind of plans, they're really only going to offer a pittance of coverage for that. So this way, a health spending account acts as that second layer of coverage, like you mentioned, that can top up anything that's not covered by that traditional plan, and it's just a smarter way for you to pay for those expenses as opposed to paying for it personally out of pocket.
yeah, and I think that's a big point you bring up is like a lot of times we always say tax first, right? Like figure out how to pay less tax and you're going to keep more money. You don't have to make more money to keep more money. You just
Yeah.
have to be smart about how you're doing it. And this is one of those critical tools. Red has like a whole laundry list of sort of other more advanced things as well. So like once you're talking to him about you and your situation, then he's able to kind of suggest these other pieces. And so I did want you to kind of elaborate on some of those other things like life insurance and
Mm-hmm.
any of those factors like stuff for kids too. That's a big one that we see. I mean, unfortunately, you're aware of them. There's a couple of local realtors in the last few years that were the breadwinner of their family and had a tragic kind of unexpected death occur, and the family's left like basically uncovered, like they didn't have anything in place. And so for us, one of our triggers for this information is going to be when people have kids. We're going to remind them about coverages and things they should look at that you can assist with. But
Mm.
yeah, can you elaborate on kind of any of those pieces?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I do joke that babies are probably one of my best referral partners because the thought process, when we do have kids, is it goes from me to we, and how am I going to look after this little bundle of joy in the event, like what if something happens to me, and how am I going to provide for it and keep the roof over the head and food in the fridge and so on and so forth. So yeah, so that's where whether it's critical illness insurance, which pays out a lump sum benefit in the event of a catastrophic cancer or heart attack or stroke. There's about 25 different major illnesses that are named. Or disability insurance, which is a little different in that it pays a monthly benefit as opposed to a lump sum benefit, and it is based upon whether you can work or not. Or life insurance, like you say, is in my years of working with realtors, I have found that you guys preach, you practice what you preach, and you all have a number of investment properties, and that's great. That is a great portfolio to build because, as over time, real estate generally does well. And if you have someone else paying off your mortgage, well, you're just collecting the rest of the equity on the upside down the road. But uh, that's where life insurance, the conversation I've tried to, initiate with some realtors is that, okay, that's great. Maybe 10 or 20 years from now, when you've got, plenty of equity as your retirement plan or your life insurance alternative. But here's the thing, like you say, if you don't have any insurance in place and an unexpected death or illness occurs, and now you're in a position where you have to sell or and it's a down market. And so you may not have any equity at all because now your spouse has got a gun to their head because they've got bills to pay. And so that's where sort of having these insurance products really I use the term hedge your bet. Just put some money, a few $100s a month towards these types of what if kind of plans, just because again it's just looking out for yourself and your ability to earn an income and provide for your family, but then also we never we never plan on dying early, but unfortunately, stuff does happen,
Yeah.
and just having that little security blanket, knowing that the family's going to be okay, and financially they're not going to be SOL, then it's a good investment, definitely.
Yeah, and that's I view it as for us anyway, it's like literally an investment in my peace of mind. Like I don't have to, it's one less thing to worry about when I'm busy enough with young kids and running a business and everything else, is that I don't have to worry that if something happened, like basically you'd be the first call. Like Sean and I both know that something happened to either of us, and like, what do we do next? How do we deal
Mm-hmm.
with this? So then I don't have to worry about the money part. I can just focus on dealing with the life event.
Yeah.
I think many people, I mean, whether it's a story or others, we have lots of agents in the office that deal with life. I mean, cancers and deaths and mental health things and all kinds of stuff happens, like injuries, car accidents, like sports accidents. We had one that almost died from a ATV accident. So like life happens. This helps cover you in the event those things happen, that money is not what you have to worry about, right? You can then focus on healing, focus on your family, focus on whatever you need to do to push through. And so yeah, money, well spent money for peace of mind, that's for sure. And I think to your point with rentals, like we had that similar conversation in the beginning, and it was sort of like, I'm sort of self-insured, I got this equity there, but it's not liquid. And I've seen it play out with actually early in my career, there's a guy who got diagnosed with ALS. Took him 6 months to figure out what he had. By that time, his body had diminished, he couldn't walk, and he was like forced to liquidate everything. You're not selling it in optimal conditions. You're now like, I have to sell. So you're selling at a lower kind of motivated seller price, versus you get a lump of cash from the insurance or payout or whatever. Now you can kind of decide when's best to sell, maybe use some of the money to renovate to make it get maximum equity out. Like physical real estate is a great asset, but it's not the most liquid, right? So
It's a long game. Yeah.
yeah, so I think a combo of both is just smart. The wealthiest people I know all play all of it, right? They have paper investments, they have insurances as an investment vehicle, they have tangible property, they have their business, like they have all of it. So yeah, so feel free to reach out to Rhett. We'll have all his contact information here, but huge resource for day-to-day stuff like health, dental, and those kind of benefits that entrepreneurs sometimes don't realize they can do more tax efficiently and get kind of coverage as an entrepreneur. But secondarily, take care of you and your family for now, and in God forbid that something happens, that you're covered. So as always, part of the whole River City family, we treat everybody like family. We want to take care of them and their families, and this is a big part of that. So we appreciate you always taking care of our people too. So thanks very much.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, John, and look forward to seeing you at the next RRC event.
Awesome. Thanks, Rhett.